The $1,000,000 question: how do entrepreneurs transition from self-employed to owning a business that turns a profit? My name is Chris Waters, and this podcast has the $1,000,000 answer. Welcome to CEO Secrets. Hey guys, it's your host, Chris Waters of CEO Secrets. Welcome back. I have got a great guest on today. He's ranked number 363 on the Inc. 500 list of the fastest privately held companies in America. He was on this list in 2020 as well at number 169. It's not a small feat to do that 2 years in a row, staying in that sub 500 list. Our guest today is Keith Murphy. Keith has got a company that installs solar panels for consumers, a great B2C business that is obviously blowing up right now. But still, as everybody knows, it requires a lot of work and time and hiring the right people and all those things to be successful. So, Keith, welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the intro. Happy to be here.
Well, let's dive in, man. I am a marketer at heart, and you're in the B2C marketing world. I'm kind of curious, what are you doing from a marketing perspective to drive traffic to get the level of sales you guys are achieving to get on that Inc. 500 list?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm actually a marketer at heart too. As a business owner, you wear a lot of hats, but the marketing side of the business is the one that really kind of gets me the most excited. I have a marketing degree too, so that's kind of where I come from. But there are a lot of ways to drum up business, and we do a lot of different things, but I would say really the best, the easiest, the most efficient way to get new business is by creating happy customers. And yeah, you can get referrals. Obviously that helps, but your Google Business page is free. It's easy to set up. And if you put systems and processes in place to make sure that you're consistently getting those 5-star reviews, you're going to do a lot of things to separate yourself from the pack. People are doing their own research. We're working with people these days that are smart. They're doing their own research. They don't want to be sold. So if you have a good online presence and they can do their own research and find, hey, you have 100 5-star reviews, which I think we're one away from here in Kansas City, that carries a lot of weight. But there are a lot of other things that we've done. We've done a lot of digital ads, Facebook. We have a ton of YouTube ads out there.
Let me ask you a quick question. So prior to having the reviews, right, you didn't have clients. What were some of the initial big hits to drive traffic? Where do you spend most of your money to acquire new customers?
Yeah, it's a good question. And to start, it was a hustle. I did a lot of door knocking. I managed my own Google ad campaigns. But in our industry and in most industries, I know real estate, there's probably a lot of this going on too. There are lead gen providers, right? So I imagine, something like Zillow is something that most real estate agents would use to drum up business. That exists in our industry. Some can be very good, some can be not so great. Those lead gen companies, it's pretty risk free. You're paying for a lead. So if you have a little bit of money to spend, then you're not really taking a risk. You're paying for people who are interested in getting more information.
Yeah, the lead gen companies you're mentioning, right? Every industry has these lead gen companies. But at the end of the day, those lead gen companies are all getting traffic to their website to resell you a lead from a different place. Unless it's like Google, Facebook, Instagram, where you're doing paid ads. Like Zillow, for example, they're driving all the traffic to Zillow.com through TV, through Facebook, through Google, a lot of it through TV. They allocate $60 million a year to TV. So in the beginning, when you were spending money on marketing, where was the vast majority of your budget going? Was it going to lead providers? And if lead providers, where were they going to originate the traffic?
Yeah, so there's two parts here. You hit the nail on the head. You have to get started somewhere. So you don't have 5-star reviews until you have happy customers. Well, how do you get those first customers. And the lead gen sources can be good, but yeah, they're also sometimes utilizing the same avenues that you would if you were to do your own marketing yourself, right? Like social media, you can do TV, you can do radio, you can put up a billboard, you can do all these things. Our industry, the solar industry, is at the very beginning of its growth, where the entire market is only about a 1% penetration rate. Mm-hmm. So think about that. It's one of the fastest growing industries in the country. It's the fastest job creator in the country, but there's only about 1% penetration rate. So if you spend all this money on TV ads, radio, billboard, there's so many options out there. You're going to get to a point where you're spinning your wheels. You won't get a return on investment. So you want to be very picky about where you spend your marketing dollars. And we've made some mistakes, but there are smart things you can do. Like we do a farmer's market, and we get such good leads from these farmers markets because these are people that we identify with. People going to the farmers markets are generally going to be people who are going to be interested in getting solar panels on their roof.
How did you identify that? How did you figure it out?
I like to shop at farmers markets myself. So, and that's one thing that we thought about, who are some like-minded businesses, or not even businesses, but who are your people, right? If you understand who your people are and can figure out what are your people like to do? Do they like to drink coffee? Do they like to ride bikes? Go hiking? There are various things you can do, even on social media, to specifically target those people and create ads that target like-minded individuals who are going to have a greater chance of being interested in the business you do. That makes those efforts worthwhile. So
the secret I'm hearing you drop is the importance of building an avatar of different buyer personas so you can dial in your marketing.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we actually have 4 different personas that we've identified, and we target them individually with individual messaging and everything. So yes.
I'm just out of curiosity, like what are those personas and how are you targeting them, and what mediums are you using to get to them?
So we've created our personas by people that you would know. So we have a Leonardo DiCaprio is one of our personas, or Leo for short. And that's the green or environmental person, right? And those people exist. Obviously, there's a lot of them out there that want to contribute to curbing climate change. So we know what to say to them to get them excited. We also have an Elon Musk persona, and that persona is the tech savvy individual, right? The innovator, the person that wants the coolest technology for their home. We also have a Dave Ramsey persona. That one should be self-explanatory if you know who that guy is. Yep. People are all about the money, want to know what their return on investment is going to be by switching to solar. And the last one, we don't have a name. We're thinking about maybe calling it Bear Grylls. Is the prepper persona. There are a lot of people that buy solar and buy a battery backup for their home because they want to get that much closer to being off grid, or have be protected if the grid goes down for any reason. A lot of people that go solar for that reasons. So those are the 4 personas, and targeting them. We start from the very beginning. So on our form on our website, we ask questions like, what has you interested in solar? And we give them a drop down. And if they select one of those 4, is it because of climate change? Is it because you want to save money? Is it because you want best tech for your home, or you want backup power when the grid goes down? Then we'll know who that person is, and we can target our email messaging and our text messaging towards them. But even before that, on the front end,
I'm writing this down. So because I like this. This is a great nugget. I hope everybody's listening to this. So basically, when somebody's filling out the lead form, you ask them why they're selling, and then that helps you put them in a in a buy box or persona that they match. So for example, they want to curb climate change, then you're tagging them. I'm assuming you're tagging them as a Leonardo DiCaprio type lead.
That's correct. Yeah.
And then that triggers a specific tailored message to them through, I would assume, like automated type drip emails and things of that nature to
Correct.
provide like value added content to help
Absolutely.
reinforce what they're saying.
Absolutely. 100%. Yep. And content is, we haven't gotten to that yet, but the big goal for what we do and what we're doing and building now is to provide as much education to people as possible. If you become the thought leader in your industry, people come to you for questions they have, they're gonna, you're that much closer to them purchasing from you. So we've done that in a variety of ways.
Have you ever heard of a company called Stansberry Research?
No.
So Stansberry Research, they deliver financial research to a massive subscription base. And I'm willing to bet they have the most sought after, most experienced, most straight up badass copywriters on planet Earth. I'm kind of curious because you come from marketing, you like marketing. Like, what are you doing on the copy side? Like, how do you find a good copywriter to get someone to write compelling content to engage with you and respond? So you ultimately get somebody on the phone and then book a face-to-face appointment, ideally, sell them a system.
A lot of that is trial and error. So to answer your question, we do that in house. I've done writing. I have a marketing director who's done writing. There was a period of time that my wife worked for the company. She has a journalism degree and she has a lot of experience writing. So she helped us build a lot of the content that we currently have. But we're entering a new phase where we're going to outsource that.
Where are you going to go find an awesome copywriter?
Well, we kind of reverse engineered it. We went on Google and we typed. We found the competitor online that we think does the best job in the industry at delivering quality content to consumers. And we found a company that wrote an article that said how to beat this company at SEO. And it's always content, right? So we ended up hiring that company, and their search was the first search that we found. So we're very excited to get going with them. But we're just now getting to the stage where we're going to outsource some of that.
Cool. That's awesome. So just out of curiosity on the marketing side, what do you guys use for CRM and marketing automation?
We use HubSpot.
Okay, cool. For CRM and marketing automation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Been very happy with HubSpot.
So like when you kind of, think about your business and the different departments, whether it's recruiting, great salespeople, or marketing, or the operations team, or, your install team, what, and I guess for people listening to this, you and I talked about this before the show started. You guys are in the midst of getting approved to be a franchisable business where people can copy and paste a proven system. What do you think is the biggest differentiator for you guys, and what's the compelling reason as to why somebody should buy one of your franchises? I mean, installing solar systems, probably not a huge competitive advantage, I would assume. Like the operation side of like recruiting, I don't know, that could be a unique value prop as recruiting. But what is it? What's the secret sauce? What are you guys doing that's so amazing, and so compelling that somebody would want to buy into your system?
Yeah, so it's a great question. When I started this business, which is just 6 years old as about 5 days ago, so we just had our 6-year anniversary of officially filing with the Secretary of State. I started the business because I saw an opportunity to do things better, and what I mean by do things better is primarily on the sales side, the sales process. I was a salesperson, so that's where I had most of my experience. Like I said, I had worked in the industry for 4 years prior to starting my own business, and I had worked for 2 or 3 different companies. So when I finally took the leap and said, screw it, I'm going to do this myself because these other companies don't know what they're doing. I was extremely focused on providing value and educating homeowners. Whereas, all of my previous sales training was just designed to close deals, So it hit me like a ton of bricks. The very first customer that I had that this company had, he was an engineer, and most solar salespeople are extremely terrified of engineers because they know more than they do about solar and about electricity and about everything else. But I was knowledgeable. I had been doing it a long time. I took courses to get certified in different things. And this guy came to me with, 20 questions. I answered all his questions. He called me, had more questions. He invited me out to his house. He had more questions. And I answered all of them. And I was, so focused on just providing value and educating that I didn't even think about closing the deal. And he said, he knew I was a new business and he was unsure whether or not I was going to be able to do, install, so figure out the rest of the deal. But he was going with me because I was the only guy he talked to that could answer his questions and answer them correctly based on his own research. So the business was started with the philosophy of providing value, providing an education, helping people make educated decisions. That's our underlying philosophy of the company is that's how we started. So, that's just the sales process, but down the line, I've done every job in the company. I've installed solar panels, I've knocked on doors, I've set appointments, I've sold, I've managed marketing campaigns, I've done accounting, I've done everything. And I think that's really important for all business owners to have the experience when they're starting a new business. And then obviously finding employees who can do the job and hopefully do it better than you did, wearing 20 million hats, and develop their own ways to make improvements. So to answer your question, I feel very confident that our sales process, our marketing messaging, our processes with regards to project management, installation, and everything during, before, and after is better and is continuing to get better, because that's our mission, is to provide better solar experiences.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, what I'm hearing is your greatest value proposition, because you have been in every role, is you're going to be an unbelievable coach to a franchisee, because you have this roadmap, but then there's like this ongoing coaching required to help execute the ingredient.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that ingredient book, it's one of those things. It's it takes a lot. It's not like baking a cake. It takes like 3 years to execute on that ingredient in a B2C sales type business. So that's what I hear.
And you're exactly right. And the opportunity, the opportunity as I see it, there are a lot of people that want to get into the green energy industry, and specifically installing solar panels. Like, how do we help curb climate change? A lot of people ask themselves that question. That's why I got in the industry. So there's going to be a lot of people that have zero experience. And I think you're exactly right. The opportunity to teach and coach and provide them with the blueprint. We've made a lot of mistakes, don't get me wrong, but you can avoid those mistakes by becoming a franchise. And we do a lot of things really, really good. And we're working on a lot of things that I'm really excited about, that are going to differentiate us even more, and help franchisees save even more money, be more efficient, and sell more business.
Where do you guys buy these solar panels from?
So there are local suppliers in most major markets. They're wholesalers, but the hardware itself is manufactured by, big companies like LG and Panasonic and Tesla as well, and other companies that.
I've got two just like like I'm a prospective customer of solar, right?
Okay.
And so I had a sales rep come to my house and he gave me his pitch. He did an unbelievable job, like educating,
Okay. Good.
like kind of told me, my break even point was going to be, I don't remember, it was like 10, 11, 12, 13 years or something like that based off my current usage of electricity. But my system was going to cost, like 50 grand up front and or somewhere around there, 50,000. And it's, I got a 4,000 square foot house. My wife keeps the temperature at like 68 degrees. So we have a pool spa, so like we use a lot of electricity. And so, anyways, my thing is like as I'm, going through kind of the like financial analysis of this, I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, what sucks is if I move in like a year or two, which is a real possibility, from my experience on the real estate side, is it's really tough to get the money back on a solar system. Like, in fact, every time and I've been on north of like 1,000 listing appointments in my early career, like meeting prospective sellers.
Yeah.
And I remember always going on these appointments with these engineers, very similar to the guy you just described. And like they do all these crazy things to make the house like crazy energy efficient. Like I had this one guy that is like, he has this massive company, 2,000 employees. He's one of the largest subcontractors for NASA. And he built this house that was like unbelievable. Like it had like 12-inch thick walls. He had a generator that could like power a city. I mean, like commercial grade, like electrical system. Like it was ridiculous. It was crazy. It was
Yeah.
amazing. And we actually got like this news write up about it. And like the headline was like, NASA, I don't know. I forgot what it was called. This was a couple of years ago. Like NASA PhD engineer builds, doomsday house, like luxury doomsday house that can live off the grid. Anyways, so like, we're showing this thing like crazy, right? And this is like one of many cases. We're showing the house, and I've had lots of other people, engineers with like homes like this. And like to be honest, like the average buyer, like they appreciate these benefits, but what I've discovered is they're not willing to pay for it. Like if the house next door sold for $500,000 and it didn't have solar panels, and then the neighbor had solar panels, like they're not going to be willing to pay 550 as an example for the house that has solar panels. Like that's been my personal like boots on the ground experience from like a resale perspective of like the actual like energy efficiency type upgrades, not just solar panels, but like other things related to energy efficiency. So how can you, one, I'm just curious from a sales perspective, how do you overcome that objection for the person that, may not be in the house to get to the break even point and is concerned about, getting their money back? Are they just not a buyer? They're just basically not a buyer? Or is there a way to overcome that objection and for it to make economical sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're moving in a year or two, or potentially moving, or definitely looking to move anytime soon, so it may not be the right time to buy solar, right? I mean, that's easy. Like, yes, there are people who disqualify because they know they're moving in a year, right? Like, I would never recommend someone go solar if they know that to be the case. But we do have quite a few customers who have reached out to us to help them market their panels or provide information to prospective buyers. And I can think of one specifically who told us they put their home on the market, and their asking price was, they included the cost of going solar in their asking price, the full cost, even though they had owned the system for like 2 or 3 years. And they got an offer within 24 hours, and they moved to their next house, and they immediately reached out to us to put solar panels on their new house. So I get it doesn't. I mean, that happened this year. I could go back and find that person that said that. So but that's definitely not the case for every person.
Yeah,
I understand that.
I would say that's more the exception to the rule is like you find the needle haystack engineer that appreciates the engineer's house that built it and had all the upgrades done.
Yeah.
Like 80 to 90% of the time, it's not the case.
I would say that there's an opportunity there. I would say that, if we're if we're making upgrades to our homes that, it's not a swimming pool, right? It's not a subjective thing. Like some people want a swimming pool, some people don't want a swimming pool.
Mhm.
Solar panels are going to save you money, like objectively, they just are. So there is actual real value in that.
Mhm.
So whether you want solar panels or don't want solar panels or really don't care, it's going to reduce the amount of money you're spending on a monthly basis. So
100%.
it should increase the value of the home.
Yeah.
Now,
But
I guess the reason,
my argument is it's just not going to increase it to the extent of what it costs to put in a new system.
yeah, and that's probably true, for the most part.
So let me ask you another question. So I have a ranch located
Mhm.
outside of Austin. It's like 45 minutes out of Austin.
Yeah.
And the gates to the ranch are powered by solar panels. It's got this little solar panel thing to power it. And when it's cloudy and dark out, like we have like cold front come in, it's cloudy, whatever, the damn gate doesn't open. So like, what's the what do you do in that event? Like, is that where the solar battery packs come in to store the energy? Like, how do you overcome like that?
Yeah, well, for your specific gate issue, I would look into probably getting a small battery to help with that.
Okay.
But for a typical homeowner, modern solar has something going for it, what's called net metering. And net metering is a huge deal that it basically allows homeowners to sell any excess electricity they produce throughout the day back to the utility company at the same price they pay for it in most markets. And you can do that up until the point that you overproduce on the calendar month. So the first common objection to that is, well, the utility company only buys back at a wholesale rate. Well, that's only true when you overproduce on the calendar month, meaning you can effectively eliminate your entire electric bill except for whatever it costs to connect it to the utility company, usually like 10 or so dollars a month or whatever that is, through net metering. So there's no financial benefit to batteries unless you live in a market like California, for instance, who has time of use rates, where they charge you more per kilowatt hour during certain times of the day than they do others during peak hours, right? So when you get a battery, in those instances, you could charge your battery throughout the day, use what's stored in your battery during peak hours when the sun may not be out as much, like 7 or 8 p.m. when people are at home and cooking, doing dishes, laundry, stuff like that, and use the power that's stored in your battery to not pay the peak fees that the utility companies are charging. But for the most part, batteries are not actually, across the board, batteries are not a necessary component to make solar work. So if it's a cloud covered day, or if there's snow on the panels or whatever, you're still going to get electricity from the grid, or even at night, you're still getting electricity from the grid. But the idea is we size your system accurately to where we know you're going to produce enough electricity throughout the day and get credit on your overproduction to make up for all the extra electricity you're going to produce when the sun's not out.
Got it. So what about like in the state of Texas? That's where I live. We have this crazy like thing happened back in February around Valentine's Day, and the grid went down for literally like 6 days, like a massive chunk of the state of Texas.
Yep.
I don't know if you heard about this. Like it was all over.
I'm aware. We have an office in Houston, so I'm very aware.
Yeah, so it was crazy, and so we had no power. I didn't have a generator in my house, and I was kind of wondering. I was like, man, if I had solar panels and one of those like Tesla battery packs on the walls, like would that have saved us and been able to power the house? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and that's the reason most people get batteries. There's not much of a financial incentive in most markets, but that line of thinking you're having right now kind of falls in the prepper You know, like
Yeah.
if you know, you're not, I'm not saying you're a prepper, like you probably don't have a cupboard full of beans and stuff like that. But if you, you know, if you've experienced a power outage and you know, hey, that kind of sucked, like, is
Yeah.
there an opportunity to do something? Yeah, solar can do that. And there's really good technology out there. Tesla isn't the only battery company that's doing really good things. Tesla's a good company. There's a company out there called Enphase.
How do you
They have
spell
a ENPHASE. We're, as a company, we are hardware agnostic. If for most things, like, you know, there are lots of good inverters on the market, there are lots of good solar panels on the market, but we've identified, you know, 2 or 3 solar panels, 1 or 2 inverters, 2 battery solutions that we feel is the best option on the market, and we're certified to install it all. So if you want to have power and the grid goes down, solar can be a very good option for you. And Enphase actually just came out with a brand new technology where you don't even need a battery, and you can power your home if the grid goes down utilizing just their inverters. But the sun has to be shining. That's the only caveat.
How long does, like, let's say, for example, in Texas, we lost power for 5, 6 days, and
Yeah.
it was obviously cloudy and dark out. So but the prior week it was very sunny. And so batteries have been charged that previous week, and then that charge powered the house for 6 days. That's probably a very convoluted answer based off a lot of different things.
Yeah, a lot of factors in there. Like, yeah, you know, a lot of that goes into sizing your battery. I mean, to answer your question, the short answer is yes.
Mhm.
That's achievable. Now, for most people, we talk to them about, you know, what is actually needed when the grid goes down. Like, you want your refrigerator to turn on, right? You probably want some lights to turn on. You may want your fan and your furnace to turn on, right? If it's a gas-fired furnace,
Sure.
you know, gas heat won't work with a battery. But if you have gas furnace and you want the fan to turn on, that's electrical. So, you know, if we size your emergency use correctly, we can size it in such a way where you don't have to get, you know, 4 batteries. You may just need 1 or 2 batteries to, you know, do what, you know, some emergency type stuff. And as long as the sun comes out every single day, or even like every other day, you're still going to have power in your battery that you're going to be able to use throughout the day. And these batteries, especially Enphase, does a really good job of they have a battery or an energy management system. So you can see how much it's like your cell phone, right? You can see, hey, I have a 30% charge. I probably should charge it if I'm going on this long road trip, right? It's kind of the same idea. You can see what's left in your battery at any given time, and you can actually shut off circuits using the app to manage your energy consumption and usage and storage. So yeah, it absolutely can work, and it's a good solution.
If you were building an Airbnb off the grid in a very, rural area, would you put a solar panel in the house and those solar battery packs to power the house?
Well, it would probably, I mean, how else would you give it? How else would you supply with electricity? It would probably
Generator, diesel, propane.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, so yeah, I mean, if are you asking me if I would? Of course I would.
Yeah, I know it's very biased.
I'm biased. I'm biased, but
Yeah.
I think anyone who's looking to go off grid, that's, and a lot of people want to go off grid. We talk to them. It's not, you can power your entire home with solar panels. You don't need to buy a bunch of batteries to go off grid. The grid still provides value. Let's use it, right? But if you have a home, a log cabin somewhere, and there's no electrical line running to it, solar and battery backup is a great solution to provide electricity to that home.
Cool. All right, man. So I know we're running out of time. So I got to ask you one last question. What would you say has been your you talked about marketing, but I'm just also kind of curious when you survey the different departments in your business, you talk about sales processes and, sitting in every seat on the bus as you scaled up. Like
Right.
what would be the biggest nugget for somebody listening to this right now that has got a business and they're trying to figure out how can they achieve this growth rate, which your growth rate was 1,314%, which is
Wow.
absolutely crazy.
It's pretty cool.
Posted by the Inc. 500 in 2021. Like, what is the greatest secret to achieving that kind of growth rate? And maybe, and don't feel free to say, Chris, I already told you, it's marketing. That's what it is.
No. Yeah, I mean, look, me as a person, I'm kind of a dreamer, right? Like I see things 5 years from now, and I say, well, how do we get to this point? How do we really truly provide value to the customer, and how do we think outside the box? I mean, those are really the biggest things to me. I think a company that is truly dedicated to innovation, thinking outside the box, has a true plan to implement various things to make their company better and set themselves apart. That's what keeps things moving forward. If you're not innovating, if you're not trying to make yourself better, then you're dying on the vine, right? Someone is going to come along you and do something better, and you're going to have to play catch up. So I would say, don't look at what your competition is doing. Look for what your customers want. And customers don't always know what they want, so it can be a tricky question. But if you can identify an opportunity to provide more value to the customer and create a better experience, and do so in an innovative way that creates efficiencies in the company, helps you save money, and also create a better workplace for your employees. Those are the things that you need to be focused on. Those are what drives your business forward, and that's what we've dedicated ourselves to. And
So,
innovation is key, in short.
if I'm hearing you right, it's almost like I've heard this thing in marketing called the law of differentiation. So there's like differentiating yourself, but also like differentiating your product to get a better outcome for the consumer. It sounds like that, if you had to boil it down to something, it's law of differentiation, which requires a lot of innovative thinking and getting customer feedback and trying to understand how to help them get a better result.
Absolutely. Yeah. Customer feedback is good. Employee feedback is good too. People who are using your product or service, and people that work in your company, they're going to give you ideas to improve. Don't shut them out. Listen to them. Make those improvements. Small improvements are key. If you dedicate yourself to small incremental improvements, big things will happen.
All right. So Keith, where can people learn more about the franchise opportunity? And if they're in one of your service areas and they're thinking about getting a solar panel system, where can they go?
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more about the franchise opportunity, our website is www.astrowatt.solar/franchise. And if you're in one of our territories, we're in Kansas City, we're in St. Louis, we're in Oklahoma City currently, and we're also in Houston, Texas. If you go to astrowatt.solar, you fill out a form, and we'll be in touch to answer all your questions and help you go solar and power your home with the sun.
Cool. I just went to the website to check it out. All right, Keith. Hey, man, thanks so much for being on the show. Congratulations on all your success. I mean, 1,000+% growth is unbelievable.
Thank you, sir.
Especially in a service business, that's pretty incredible. So, congrats on all your success. Thanks for being on the show today. For you guys listening, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.